Okay, everyone, I'm going to talk about, as a trans person, my experiences with potential racism with the black community or whatever, okay? This is how it's going to go, all right? Now, people want to say, blacks want to complain how whites are racist, okay? Here's my thing, all right? Now, say you go to a black space. Say you want to go to a black space. Say a nightclub, you want to go somewhere for the night, okay? And it looks like they're open. It looks like the music's going. It looks like people might have fun there. You don't know exactly how it's going to be, but you think, as a transgender person, maybe there's a few transgenders in there just blended in with black women, maybe. Just in general. And maybe I would talk to them, maybe, or anyone else who would be willing to, assuming the music's not way too loud, and stuff like that. So the thing is, what they'll do is, you go in, you met with the security guards sometimes on the outside, all right? And this happened in Columbia some time ago in South Carolina. And the security guards will kind of make you jump through hoops, like if they see that they look for excuses, I think. Like they told me my shorts were too high or I looked too provocative going in there or something. And he had to have been fucking with me, really. I mean, really, who does that? Really, I wasn't even looking very inappropriately, number one. And with all the people that have gone in there, it's like I had a knife on me just because I carry it on me. Told me I couldn't bring it in there. They'll find some way to fuck with you, is what I'm trying to say. And I'm telling you, down south, these blacks down here are very condescending. And they're racist, let me tell you. Now, I'm not the whitest person in the world either. I'm not the whitest person in the world, all right? Now, I'm going to talk about my long visit in Atlanta, because this is what the title's going to be. Well, Atlanta, the Carolinas, whatever. Atlanta, though, is where I have been taking a long visit, because I've been visiting someone because of business. I wouldn't be here otherwise, trust me. But it's because I had to get something done, and I visited a friend over here, too. And I've been around the Atlanta area, Morrow, Stockbridge, McDonough, everywhere. Not just the inner city of Atlanta, the whole thing I'm talking about. Seeing black middle class people, seeing more blacks in the upper middle class was kind of funny to me, because growing up I never really saw that, I'll start with that, okay? I'll talk about the inner city also, but I'll describe that in Atlanta anyway. That over there you saw that, but it's funny how in some ways they tried to act just like the Italians and Irish I grew up around. Up north. This is so funny to me. But they were blaring their stereos louder. Like Stockbridge, let me tell you something. Fucking nightmare of a place. For a suburb. They say it's such a nice place. They say Georgia is such a classy state, right? It's no classier than Alabama at all. In fact, it's quieter in Alabama. For sure. I mean, I've run into black people all over the South, but I can tell you right now, in Atlanta, they're the most obnoxious. But Georgia and the Carolinas, they tend to have a little more of a superiority complex, I would say. And they do more segregation, and they still live in the slave master times. As let me tell you something. I think the nicest black people I've ever come across were in Texas, truthfully. And Hispanics in Texas. In Texas was where it was probably best. Georgia and the Carolinas, not so much. You'll have more awkward interactions with strangers in Atlanta. Between someone trying to hit you up on a vehicle, you're sitting there and someone's trying to talk, and I don't even let them yep. I'm like, get out of here, dude. I don't want to even talk to you. Don't talk to me. You know what I mean? Because it's funny, because when blacks get way up in the upper class over there, they don't talk to anyone but successful blacks. How's that not segregation again? But it's funny when they're so low, they come up to you and they might not even be that low. They might just be hustling naturally. In Georgia, I mean, I met a few nice black people even in Georgia and the Carolinas, but in my experience, more of them try to outshine one another, okay? On average. And there's more misgendering. They call me sir more times than anywhere I've ever... It pisses me off, I'm telling you. Even if it's more done innocently and they don't think anything of it. Now, I clearly don't look like a sir, do I? Do I look like someone who wants to be called a sir? Fuck no. Save your bigotry. Get the fuck out of my face. Period. But I'm just telling you too, black people are racist in Georgia. And the Carolinas too. They are. Probably worse in Georgia, though. Close in some parts of South Carolina. Alabama, maybe in the middle. I didn't notice it, though, really. I went to Leeds, where Charles Barkley grew up. I didn't really notice it. Didn't notice it really much in Alabama, really, to be honest with you. But I'm talking more like Georgia, the Carolinas, and stuff. I did have, outside of Talladega, though, with white folks complaining I was using the women's room in Pell City near Talladega, though. Figure that happened right near where Ricky Bobby was filmed. That figures the white people over there are like that. But I'm mostly talking about my experiences in Atlanta. Oh, and in Conyers, Georgia, I was told that if I was going to be at the buffet or something, the manager said that I had to use the men's room. I'm like, fuck you, bitch. Are you retarded? Why aren't you standing up to him for this bigotry? And this was a white Southern Belle woman working there. And I was irate. So before any of you say that I pick favorites or I'm favoring the white race just because I'm pointing out that blacks are racist, not true. You know what I'm saying? And I've met some nice black people, but I'll tell you where I met them firsthand. The first place that comes to the top of my head is Texas. That's really it. San Antonio, Houston-ish maybe, if I met anybody over there. Could have been in the Sugarland area, I don't know, but yeah. But like I said, not everyone's bad, but have I had a lot of awkward interactions in Atlanta? You betcha. And people just without any impunity will come up and think they can talk to you like that. An old black man addressed me as boy in the West End Mall one time. I'm like, you're not gonna fucking talk to me like that. Just kick fucking rocks, bitch. You know, it's bad enough. It's like he called me boy. I was trans. It's bad when you call anybody that. Even a man, a black man, a white man, whatever. But you're calling a trans person boy. That's even worse. God. Like, Jesus Christ. Demeaning anyways to anybody. And then I was looking at people moving to Atlanta, okay? And here's the thing I noticed. There's even some black people, to my chagrin, I guess, who move to Atlanta and find it isn't all that. And they don't really fit in here. Although I personally think more it's everybody else that isn't black. But I think there are some blacks, too, that don't fit in when they go there, too. I just think it's quite a few that aren't, you know, also. Mostly. I just think there's some that go there and be like, oh, no, this isn't what I like. Nah, this is pretty condescending down here. Nah. Because nothing ever turns... The thing about it is nothing turns into a friendship. Nobody really talks in stores in Atlanta. No one does any of that. See, I come from a place even... I'm from Massachusetts, and more people talked in stores where I come from than they do in Atlanta. True story. They're pretty fucked. They're ruder here than when I went to Manhattan, actually. You want the going honest truth? They're ruder here than when I went to Manhattan. I saw here what I would probably see, like what most people talk about in Detroit. I'm pretty damn sure I've seen it all in Atlanta. Going off of the historic West End, going to the suburbs. I went everywhere. I even went to Cumming, more north. I went everywhere. And the whites all fleed to Cumming. I'll tell you that right now. They all went over there. And Morrow is the most diverse place, probably, of all of them. But even then, I heard some stereo terrorists pumping their friggin' radios on Saturday, but I haven't been hearing it too much today. I mean, but I was under the impression, Jesus Christ, is this how these Atlanta area folks really are? And plus the sports car terrorists that are driving around too and racing on the roads and drag racing. Again, most of them are black. And they're doing exactly what the white rednecks used to do years ago, like Dukes of Hazzard. How is that cool to do? And many black people litter on the streets, too, in these areas as well. It's safe to say, people that are ruining the environment, while not all, in Georgia and the Carolinas, right? Not all, but many, I would say throw their shit out the windows and they litter on the ground. They make their living environments a shithole. They really do. I'll tell you that right now. I think between the amount of blacks and Mexicans who litter on the ground, depending on what city you're in, of course, it differs depending on where you go. But in Atlanta, I can tell you right now, in places like that, they're turning these cities like into Philadelphia. Who do you think's littering all the shit in Philadelphia to make it all filthy? Puerto Ricans and blacks, probably, on average. I mean, the truth isn't racist. I mean, I'm pretty colored myself. I'm not that white, you know. I'm descended from Middle Eastern people. More than likely, I mean, look at me. I've been told Native American even, that I pass as. But I am a realist with things. I say how they are. You know? And I have interactions with black people where they online sometimes. There's a group on Bigo Live with many blacks in chat rooms, African Americans in rooms, and their chats are only them. And then when someone not totally them comes into the room, the racism comes out. Their racism comes out. I watched the old movies like Mississippi Burning or Freedom Song with Danny Glover, and blacks who had a hard time back then, but you can't tell me that some things haven't happened over there too, though. You know? Or there's been a lot of race-based education in the schools. Now, I'm very left-wing, mind you. I'm a left-wing liberal, and I'm telling you this. I mean, I can't talk to any of these people, really. I can't go up to them. When they come up to me, I can't help them out because they're only trying to take advantage of me. I can't talk to them. I can't interact with them because, number one, it's like when people finally get high up on the ladder, they don't even talk to people like me, really. So, you know what I'm saying? I live in a truck. I'm poor right now, and they don't even talk to me. I mean, in the South, I notice, like, when you get outside the hillbilly areas of the South, okay, in general, the rich areas of the South are not warm and friendly. They're not. They're just as snobby as up north. They are just as motherfucking snobby as the East Coast. I don't want to hear otherwise. I don't want to hear this Southern hospitality bullshit. You could save your sugar baby, whatever the hell you say. You could save all that crap. I'm not interested if it's going to be from a condescending point of view. If it's real, fine. But if it's from a condescending point of view, I don't want it. Or if it's just because you want something and I don't know what you're doing. And even if you're trying to inform me of something, like there was a lady in a restaurant the other day, it really took me back, okay? Someone was trying to say that my food order is ready, but since my name was not James, I didn't answer to it right away. Because they fucked up with my name. I told them my name was Joanne and they put in James. I told the cashier that. She said she's sorry, but the person called my food who I think put the bag together like, James. See how frustrating it gets? Then someone else says, oh, sir, your food is ready. And then I'm like looking at her like, then something like, but I don't work here though. I'm like, you don't? By the way, I don't go by sir, you know. I'm really pissed off at that. I get really defensive with these people when they do that because, you know, it's obvious I don't look like a sir. Open your fucking eyes, you low IQ baboon. I mean open your eyes. Do I look like a sir? And I'm very liberal too. Do I look? That's demeaning. That's prejudice. I had to read her the riot act, and her answer was like, I don't care if you're a man or a woman or what you is or something like that. She didn't apologize, though, calmly. She was definitely on the defensive. But bottom line is, I don't care how you try to remind me of something. If you have any doubt that it's going to turn out wrong, don't talk to me. Keep moving. Unless you're going to be complimentary or you're going to address me in such a way where it doesn't feel threatening. When you call me sir, that's threatening to me. That's like using the N-word. And that's what I'm going to throw at every one of these black people who come at me like this. I'm going to do what they've done to people for several years. They try to guilt people with their race guilt. Okay? Like how they're white skin, they should be guilty for being white. Well, I'm going to come down on some of them for doing that to me. See how they like it. Now that more of them maybe now are doing better, you know what's going to happen? lower class groups are going to come at them and say, hey, we want our reparations now. You're making money now, right? It doesn't seem like you're doing too bad, black people, right? It's fair to cut us some, right? Trans people who are marginalized or whoever else, That's only fair since for many years you try to make other white people feel bad, right? But now that you're doing good and you're surprised it's all happening like this, like you're wondering why people are coming down on you for the things you say or how you talk to somebody. It's not polite to call someone sir or ma'am all the time. It's not. I'd rather not gender people because I'm progressive minded. I'd rather not gender anybody personally because it's perceived as rude depending on who the person is. So I had that interaction there too. And again, this is not good. That we're still in 2023 and the people who are the most marginalized should at least be mindful of that, but not a lot of them really are at times, especially in Atlanta, a blue city. I mean, I got more of this here than I got in South Carolina, for Christ's sakes. God, I should just live in South Carolina. I sure as hell don't intend on living in Atlanta, that's for damn sure. Or I might get a cheap house in Detroit, thinking about it. Because it's so cheap to live there right now. I'll talk to you later. I'm done. I just wanted to make my point.